The great meeting hall of Nexus Prime stretched out like a metal ocean under artificial stars. Ambassador Quandeho walked slowly across the polished floor, his black diplomatic uniform a dark spot against the gleaming surface. Behind him, Dr. Park So-ra carried her data tablet while Captain Lee Tam-min kept his eyes moving across the enormous chamber. 40-7 different alien species had sent their representatives to this place. The air recycling systems worked overtime to keep the atmosphere breathable for everyone. Some aliens needed cold temperatures while others required heat. Some breathed oxygen while others needed methane or hydrogen. The station's computers managed it all, creating invisible zones of different air for different beings. Daiho had been to many council meetings before, but this one felt different. The usual chatter between species was missing. Instead, a heavy silence filled the hall. Even the translator devices seemed quieter than normal. "Something is very wrong here," Dr. Park whispered in Korean. She had spent 20 years studying alien cultures and could read the mood in any room. "They are all watching us." Captain Lee nodded slightly. His hand stayed near his weapon, though he knew it would be useless against the security systems of Nexus Prime. Too many guards today, 3 times the normal number. The human delegation took their assigned seats in the junior section. For 50 years, humanity had sat in these same chairs, listening to older species make decisions about the galaxy. Earth had been grateful just to have a voice, even a small one. The Vorthic Empire's representative rose first. Counselor Vex Thara stood 9 feet tall, her crystal body reflecting the chamber's lights and rainbow patterns. When she spoke, her voice rang like wind chimes in a storm. "The council has gathered to address a growing concern," she announced. "The human species has become a problem that can no longer be ignored." Daiho kept his face completely calm. He had learned this skill during his military days, before becoming a diplomat. Never show surprise, never show fear. Never give your enemies any information they can use. The Nexari Collective's representative spoke next. Synthesis Node Prime was not one being but thousands of small creatures working together as a single mind. When they spoke, their voices created a strange harmony that made most species uncomfortable. "Humans expand too quickly," the node said. "In 50 years they have claimed 43 star systems. This aggressive behavior threatens the stability of our civilization." An ethereal drifted forward, its gas-form body contained in a transparent bubble. The sublime whisper had been alive for over 3,000 years and considered itself an expert on younger species. "We have observed human behavior carefully," it said in a voice like distant thunder. "They are violent by nature. They solve problems through warfare rather than discussion. This primitive mentality has no place in our advanced society." More species added their voices to the complaints. The humans were too aggressive, too unpredictable, too different from the established order. They needed to be controlled before they caused real damage. Dr. Park made notes on her tablet, but she was really watching the faces around them. "They planned this," she whispered. "This is not a discussion. This is a trial, and we are the criminals." Daiho nodded once. He had suspected this for weeks. The council meetings had become more hostile lately. Human trade ships reported unusual delays at alien ports. Human diplomats found themselves excluded from important discussions. Someone had been organizing this for a long time. Counselor Vex Thara stood again, her crystal form catching the light dramatically. "The council has reached a decision about the human problem. We offer you a choice that will benefit everyone." She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy's star map. Human colonies appeared as red dots scattered across space. As they watched, most of the red dots changed to gray. "First, humanity must abandon all colonies beyond your home system. You may keep Earth and its immediate neighbors, but the outer settlements must be given up." The hall fell silent. Even the air recycling system seemed to pause. Second, human military forces must be reduced to defense-only levels. Number: more warships, no more weapons research, no more aggressive expansion. Dr. Park's grip tightened on her tablet. These demands would destroy human civilization as they knew it. Third, all human children must attend council education centers. They will learn proper civilized behavior instead of your violent traditions. Captain. Lee's jaw tightened. The aliens wanted to reprogram human children, to make them think like everyone else in the galaxy. Finally, humanity will accept permanent junior status in the council. You will have no voting rights on major decisions. You will follow the guidance of elder species who understand the galaxy better than you do. The sublime whisper drifted closer to the human delegation. These terms are generous. We could simply remove you from the galaxy entirely. Your species is young and foolish, but you can learn to be civilized if you accept our help. Synthesis Node Prime added their voice to the pressure. Resistance would be pointless. The combined fleets of the Council contain over 50,000 warships. Humanity has fewer than 2,000 ships, most of them exploration vessels rather than true military craft. Councillor Vexthora's crystal body flashed with different colors as she prepared to close the discussion. You have heard our terms. They are not negotiable. Accept them, and humanity will have a place in our galaxy. Reject them, and face the consequences of your pride. The chamber waited for Deho's response. Representatives from 47 species expected him to beg for better terms, or perhaps ask for time to contact Earth. Some probably expected him to break down completely when faced with impossible choices. Instead, Deho stood slowly and brushed an invisible speck of dust from his uniform. His movements were calm and deliberate, like a man getting ready for an important business meeting, rather than facing the destruction of his species. Your offer is interesting, he said in a voice that carried clearly across the vast chamber. However, I need exactly 72 hours to consider your terms properly. The request surprised everyone. Most species would have either accepted immediately or rejected the terms in anger. Asking for time suggested that humans might actually consider surrendering their freedom. Councillor Vexthora's crystal body flickered with satisfaction. 72 hours is acceptable. Use this time wisely, Ambassador. Consider what is best for your people. As the council session ended, aliens began filing out of the chamber in small groups. Many of them seemed pleased with how the meeting had gone. The human problem would be solved peacefully, with minimal effort on their part. Dr. Park waited until they were alone before speaking. They think we are going to surrender. Good, Deho replied quietly. Let them think that. Captain. Lee checked his communication device. Orders from Earth? Not yet, Deho said, but they will come. 72 hours should be enough time. Enough time for what? Dr. Park asked. Deho looked out through the chamber's great windows at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, humanity was about to face its greatest test. The galaxy's elder species had made their choice. Now it was time for humans to make theirs. Enough time to remind the galaxy why they should never underestimate a species that conquered its own planet through warfare, he said softly. They think our violence makes us primitive. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The human quarters on Nexus Prime were small and simple compared to the grand suites given to elder species. Ambassador Quan Deho sat at his desk, appearing to read diplomatic reports while alien surveillance devices monitored his every move. The Watchers saw exactly what they expected to see, a worried diplomat trying to find a way out of an impossible situation. They could not see the quantum communication device, hidden inside his coffee cup. Dr. Park So-Ra worked at her laboratory station, running what appeared to be routine biological tests. Her equipment hummed quietly as she analyzed alien plant samples from the station's garden. The monitoring systems recorded her activities as normal scientific research. They did not detect the encrypted data streams flowing through her equipment to Earth. Captain Li Tae-min walked the corridors of Nexus Prime, studying the station's layout as any security chief would do. Alien guards watched him examine emergency exits and defensive positions. They assumed he was planning escape routes in case the negotiations went badly. They were partly right, but not in the way they imagined. 18 hours into the 72-hour deadline, the first response came from Earth. The message appeared as a routine diplomatic confirmation, but its real meaning was clear to anyone who knew the code. Operation Midnight Sun is approved. All assets are moving to position. Daeho deleted the message and poured himself another cup of coffee. Through his window, he could see alien ships patrolling around the station. The Council had tripled their security forces, expecting some kind of desperate human attack. They were watching for obvious threats while missing the real preparation happening all around them. 20-4 light-years away, Admiral Han Ji-woo stood on the bridge of the battleship Seoul's Pride. Her fleet had been conducting routine training exercises in empty space for the past month. To any observer, it looked like normal military practice. No one suspected that humanity's entire deep space fleet was slowly moving into position around key alien worlds. "Status report," she ordered. Commander Nam Ji-ho looked up from his communication station. "All battle groups report ready. The Bizan task force is 30 minutes from the Vorthik border. The Incheon squadron has reached the Nexuri home systems edge. Our stealth ships are in position around 47 strategic targets." Dr. Kim Yoo-jin worked frantically in her research laboratory on Earth's moon. For 3 years, she had been studying captured alien technology, looking for weaknesses that human weapons could exploit. Her team had discovered that Vorthik crystal armor became brittle when exposed to specific sound frequencies. Nexuri hive ships lost coordination when their quantum networks were disrupted. Ethereal force fields failed completely when hit with certain electromagnetic pulses. "How long until the new weapons are ready?" asked Minister Yoon Hae-rin, who had arrived from Earth that morning. "The sonic cannons are already being installed on our ships," Dr. Kim replied. "The quantum jammers need 6 more hours. The M-pulse generators are ready for field testing." Back on Nexus Prime, Dr. Park made a discovery that changed everything. While analyzing the station's computer databases for her supposed research, she had accessed historical records that most aliens never bothered to read. What she found made her blood run cold. "Daeho," she whispered during their evening meal, "we need to talk privately." They walked to the station's observation deck, where couples from different species often came to watch the stars. To anyone watching, they looked like two humans taking a romantic break from stressful negotiations. The surveillance systems recorded their conversation as personal discussion between friends. "I found something in the archives," Dr. Park said quietly. "Records from 50 years ago, when humanity first made contact." "What kind of records?" "Council meeting transcripts. They were never planning to treat us as equals. The whole first contact process was designed to evaluate us as a potential slave species." Daeho kept his expression calm, but inside he felt a cold anger growing. "Tell me everything." "They brought us into the galaxy for a specific purpose. They wanted a species that could fight their wars for them. The Vorthik, Nexari, and Ethereals have been at peace for so long that they have forgotten how to wage real warfare. When they face external threats, they need soldiers who still remember how to kill. And after we serve their purpose, disposal, complete cultural reformation or extinction. They have done this to 12 other species over the past 1,000 years. Captain Lee had been listening while pretending to admire the view. So we were never meant to be partners. We were weapons they planned to use and throw away. Exactly. The ultimatum they gave us today is not about our expansion or aggression. It is about timing. They have decided they do not need us anymore. So now we must be controlled or eliminated. Dr. Park showed them data on her tablet, disguised as star charts. Look at this. Every species that accepted similar terms was gradually reduced in population over the following centuries. Their colonies were reassigned to elder species. Their children were educated to forget their original cultures. Within 200 years, they effectively ceased to exist as independent peoples. The three humans stood in silence, watching ships move between the stars. Around them, aliens from dozens of species enjoyed the peaceful evening, unaware that the galaxy was about to change forever. "How much does Earth know about this?" Deho asked. "I sent the data 6 hours ago." By now, the President and the Defense Council have seen everything. 43 hours remained until the deadline. On Earth, President Lee Sun-mi called an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. Military leaders from every continent gathered in the secure bunker beneath Seoul. The mood in the room was grim but determined. "Ladies and gentlemen," the President began, "we now know the truth. This was never about coexistence. This was about survival." General Park Dong-woo activated the holographic display showing human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. "All forces are in position. We can strike simultaneously at their key installations within minutes of receiving the order." "What are our chances?" asked the President. "In a traditional war, we would lose," the general admitted. "They have superior numbers and technology, but we are not planning a traditional war. We are planning something they have never seen before." Dr. Kim's voice came through the communication system from her lunar laboratory. "The new weapons are ready for deployment. Every ship in our fleet now carries equipment specifically designed to exploit alien weaknesses. More importantly, our Cyber Warfare Division has been inside their networks for months. Engineer Cho Min-seo had spent 2 years developing the infiltration programs. We can shut down their communications, disrupt their fleet coordination, and create false sensor readings across their entire network. They will be fighting blind while we see everything." President Lee looked around the room at humanity's military leadership. These were people who had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come. Now that war was only hours away. "Are we really going to do this?" she asked. "Once we start, there will be no going back. Win or lose, the galaxy will never be the same." General Park's answer spoke for everyone present. "Madam President, they made their choice when they decided we were disposable. Now we make ours." Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Deho prepared for sleep in his small quarters. Tomorrow would bring the second day of negotiations, during which he would appear to struggle with the Council's impossible demands. The aliens expected him to show signs of breaking under pressure. He smiled slightly as he turned off the lights. Let them think they were winning. In 43 hours, the galaxy would learn what humanity really thought of their ultimatum. In the darkness, his quantum communicator pulsed once with a message from Earth. "All pieces in position. Execute on your signal." The storm was coming, and the galaxy had no idea what was about to hit them. The Great Hall of Nexus Prime, filled with representatives from 47 species, exactly 72 hours after the ultimatum was delivered. The air hummed with quiet conversation as aliens discussed what they expected to hear. Most believed the humans would accept the Council's terms with minor protests. A few thought Ambassador Kwon Di-ho might ask for better conditions. None of them expected what was actually about to happen. Counselor Vexthura's crystal body reflected the chamber's lights as she called the session to order. Her voice rang across the hall like music played on glass instruments. "The time for consideration has ended. Ambassador Deho, the Council awaits your response to our generous offer." Deho stood slowly from his seat in the junior section. He wore the same black diplomatic uniform as before, but something about his posture had changed. "We're three." Days ago, he had seemed like a man carrying a heavy burden. Now he moved with the confidence of someone who knew exactly what he was going to do. Dr. Park, Sora, and Captain Lee Tae-min rose with him. Their faces showed the same calm determination that had settled over their leader. Around the hall, alien representatives leaned forward in their seats, expecting to hear humanity's surrender. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Taeho began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. I have spent the past 3 days considering your offer very carefully. I have consulted with my government, reviewed our options, and examined the historical precedents for such agreements. The sublime whisper drifted closer, its gas-form body contained within its transparent bubble. We are pleased that you have taken this matter seriously, young ambassador. Wisdom comes with accepting guidance from those who have lived longer. Indeed, Daeho replied. History has been very educational. For example, I learned about the Kalari species, who accepted similar terms 400 years ago, and the Threx, people who agreed to cultural guidance 3 centuries past, and the Ilani, who embraced council wisdom just 200 years ago. Synthesis Node Prime spoke in their strange harmonious voice. Those species chose to evolve beyond their primitive origins. They became part of something greater than themselves. They became extinct, Daeho said simply. The chamber fell silent. Even the air recycling system seemed to pause. Every species that has accepted the kind of guidance you offer has vanished within 2 centuries. Their colonies were redistributed. Their children were re-educated. Their cultures were erased. They did not evolve. They were eliminated. Counselor Vexthora's crystal body flashed with angry colors. You misunderstand the historical record. Those species chose to integrate fully with galactic civilization. I understand perfectly, Daeho replied. Which brings me to humanity's response to your ultimatum. He walked forward from the junior section toward the center of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the silence as representatives from 47 species watched with growing unease. You have made several fundamental errors in your assessment of my species, he continued. First, you assume that because we are young, we are weak. This is incorrect. Youth brings energy, adaptability, and innovation that age often loses. The ethereal's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Your species has existed for mere thousands of years. We have guided galactic civilization for millions. Experience matters more than youthful enthusiasm. Second, Daeho continued as if the interruption had not occurred. You assume that because we are different, we are inferior. This is also incorrect. Our differences are what make us valuable, not disposable. He reached the center of the chamber and stopped. Every eye in the hall focused on him as he prepared to deliver the words that would change everything. Third, you assumed that because we sought peace, we were incapable of war. This is your greatest mistake. Dr. Park activated her tablet, sending a coded signal that would reach Earth in minutes. Around the galaxy, human fleets received the message they had been waiting for. You believe that violence makes us primitive, Daeho said, his voice growing stronger with each word. You think that our capacity for warfare is a weakness to be corrected. You are wrong. Our ability to fight is our greatest strength, and you are about to discover why. Captain Lee's hand moved to his communication device. A single touch sent confirmation codes to every human military unit in the galaxy. The Human Federation hereby rejects your ultimatum in its entirety, Daeho announced. We will not surrender our colonies. We will not reduce our military forces. We will not send our children to your re-education centers. We will not accept junior status in a galaxy that we intend to reshape. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Representatives from dozens of species began talking at once, their translation devices creating a chaos of different languages and concepts. Furthermore, Daeho continued, his voice cutting through the noise, The Human Federation declares a state of war against any species that threatens human sovereignty or attempts to enforce the Council's illegal demands. The hall fell silent again, but this time the silence was different. It was the silence of predators realizing they had cornered something far more dangerous than they had imagined. Counselor Vexthara's crystal body blazed with indignant light. You cannot be serious. Your species has fewer than 2,000 ships. The combined Council fleets number over 50,000 vessels. You would be destroyed within days. Your intelligence is remarkably poor for such an advanced civilization, Daiho replied calmly. Humanity currently operates over 6,000 military vessels, including ships your sensors cannot detect. But numbers are not what will determine the outcome of this war. Synthesis Node Prime's collective voice took on a threatening tone. Then what will determine the outcome? The fact that you have forgotten how to fight, Daiho said. Your species have lived in peace for so long that you have lost the ability to wage real war. You conduct limited conflicts with rules and boundaries. You fight to minimize casualties and preserve resources. You seek negotiated settlements and acceptable losses. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from every major power in the galaxy. Humans fight to win. We fight with everything we have, using every advantage we can find, until our enemies surrender or cease to exist. We do not fight fair, we fight effectively. The sublime whisper's gas-form body swirled with agitation. Your primitive aggression will not save you from superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Speaking of technology, Dr. Park said, stepping forward with her tablet, we should mention what humanity has been doing for the past 50 years, while you assumed we were simply learning from your example. Images appeared on the chamber's main display screen. Schematics of human weapons that incorporated alien technology in ways their original creators had never imagined. Ships that combined multiple species innovations into something entirely new. Tactical systems that could adapt to any situation in real time. We did not just learn from you, she explained. We improved upon everything you taught us. Our weapons are designed specifically to exploit the weaknesses in your defenses. Our ships can defeat yours because we understand your technology better than you do. Captain Lee spoke for the first time since entering the chamber. At this moment, human forces are positioned around every major alien world in the galaxy. Our cyber warfare specialists have been inside your computer networks for months. Our intelligence operatives have mapped every strategic installation you possess. You wanted to eliminate us because you thought we were dangerous, Daiho said. You were right to be afraid. But you should have struck first instead of offering ultimatums. The representatives began to understand the true scope of what they were facing. This was not a desperate bluff by a cornered species. This was a carefully planned military operation that had been in preparation for years. The war begins now, Daiho concluded. Species that wish to negotiate new terms based on equality and mutual respect may contact the Human Federation through appropriate diplomatic channels. Those who choose to continue threatening humanity will face the consequences of their decision. He turned and walked back toward the chamber's exit, followed by Dr. Park and Captain Lee behind them. The hall exploded into panicked discussions as representatives from 47 species realized their comfortable world had just collapsed. This is madness, Counselor Vexthara called after them. You will destroy yourselves and take half the galaxy with you. Daiho paused at the chamber's entrance and looked back one final time. Perhaps, he said quietly. But we will not be enslaved. We will not be eliminated. We will not disappear quietly into the darkness while you divide our worlds among yourselves. If the galaxy burns, at least it will burn as free beings, rather than as your disposable tools. The great doors closed behind the human delegation, leaving the council to contemplate the new reality they had created. In the silence that followed, every species in the chamber began to calculate how this war would affect their own survival. The age of human compliance was over. The age of human dominance had begun. Admiral Han Ji-woo stood on the bridge of Seoul's Pride as the first reports came in from across the galaxy. Her fleet had been waiting in dark space for this moment, and now the war had begun in earnest. Through the bridge windows she could see the distant lights of the Vorthak home system, unaware that death was racing toward them at near light speed. "All battle groups report ready," Commander Nam Ji-ho announced from his station. "The Bizon Task Force is beginning their attack run on the Crystal Shipyards. Incheon Squadron has engaged the Nexari Defense Fleet. Our stealth ships are hitting their communication centers now." On the main screen, tactical displays showed human forces striking simultaneously across 47 different star systems. This was not how galactic wars were traditionally fought. Elder species typically declared their intentions aloud. Time for evacuation of civilians, and engaged in formal fleet battles at predetermined locations. Humanity had chosen a different approach. "Target the military installations first," Admiral Han ordered. "Shipyards, weapon factories, fleet bases. Let them understand that this is real war, not a diplomatic exercise." 8 light years away, Captain Lee Tae-min commanded the destroyer Guangzhou's Hammer as it approached a Vorthak crystal manufacturing facility. The alien station sparkled like a jewel against the black of space, its beautiful architecture designed more for art than for defense. "Sonic cannons are charged and ready," reported Lieutenant Kim Hai-jin from the weapons station. "Dr. Kim's frequency calculations are loaded into our targeting systems. Fire when ready." The invisible sound waves struck the crystal station at precisely the resonance frequency that Dr. Kim Yoo-jin had discovered in her laboratory. The beautiful crystalline structure began to vibrate, then crack, then shatter into millions of glittering fragments. In 30 seconds, a facility that had taken decades to build was reduced to sparkling dust. "Target destroyed," Lieutenant Kim reported. "The sonic weapons work exactly as predicted. Crystal technology is completely vulnerable to the right frequency attacks." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human forces demonstrated technologies that should not have existed. Ships appeared from empty space using stealth systems that made them invisible to alien sensors. Weapons that had never been seen before tore through defenses that had protected worlds for centuries. On the Nexari homeworld, Synthesis Node Prime felt something it had never experienced before: fear. The collective consciousness that linked millions of individual beings was being disrupted by quantum jammers that engineer Cho Min-seo had designed specifically for this purpose. "Communication with outer colonies is impossible," reported one of the subnodes. "The humans are using some kind of quantum interference that breaks our neural links. Fleet coordination is failing," added another. "Ships cannot share tactical information. Each vessel is fighting alone." This was the nightmare scenario for a hive mind species. The Nexari's greatest strength was their ability to think and act as one unified organism. Without that connection, they became confused and vulnerable, like a human trying to fight with their nervous system damaged. Commander Park Min-ho led a squadron of human fighters through the chaos of a Nexari defense fleet. The alien ships were large and powerful, but they were designed to work together as a coordinated unit. Separated by the quantum jammers, they became easy targets for human pilots who had trained for individual combat. "Enemy command ship is attempting to restore communications," his wingman reported. "They are boosting their signal strength." "Not for long," Park replied. He activated the new quantum mine that his ship carried, a weapon that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. When it detonated near the Nexari command vessel, it created a cascade failure that spread through their entire quantum network. The enemy fleet suddenly stopped moving in coordinated patterns. Individual ships began firing at random targets, unable to distinguish friend from foe without their shared consciousness to guide them. In the ethereal systems, the Sublime Whisper watched in horror as human attack ships punched through force fields that had protected their worlds for millennia. The electromagnetic pulse weapons that Dr. Kim had developed specifically targeted the energy signatures that ethereal technology used. "This is impossible," the ancient being said to its advisors. "Our defensive barriers have never failed before. How do these primitive creatures possess weapons that can bypass our most advanced protection systems?" "They have been studying us," replied another ethereal. "For 50 years, they have been learning our weaknesses while we assumed they were simply trying to copy our technology." A human battlecruiser approached their orbital defense platform, ignoring the energy weapons that fired uselessly against its shields. When it reached close range, it deployed a new type of weapon that the Sublime Whisper had never seen before. The electromagnetic pulse did not simply overload their systems. It specifically targeted the quantum frequencies that ethereal technology used, creating a cascade failure that shut down every piece of equipment on the platform simultaneously. Lights went out, life support failed, and defensive systems died in seconds. "Our cities are defenseless," one of the advisors reported. "The humans could destroy our entire civilization, but they are not firing on civilian targets." This restraint confused the ethereals. In their experience, war meant total destruction of the enemy. The fact that humans were limiting their attacks to military targets suggested either weakness or a strategic plan that the gas beings could not understand. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council held an emergency session as reports of defeat poured in from across the galaxy. Species that had ruled star systems for thousands of years were discovering that their fleets could not compete with human tactics and technology. "We must negotiate," urged a representative from the Kelty Union. "Our defense fleet was destroyed in less than 6 hours. The humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before." Counselor Vex Thoris' crystal body flickered with desperate light. "This cannot continue. They are using weapons that violate the established conventions of warfare. Sound weapons against crystal beings, quantum jammers against hive minds, electromagnetic attacks against energy-based technology. This is not civilized combat." "They warned us," said a voice from the back of the chamber. Ambassador Yul Dante from the Orion Federation had remained silent during the original ultimatum, but now he spoke with quiet authority. "The human diplomat told us exactly what would happen. They said they do not fight fair, they fight to win." The Sublime Whisper's form swirled with agitation. "But this level of preparation suggests they have been planning this war for years. While we believed they were learning to be civilized, they were actually preparing to destroy us." Dr. Park. Sora had remained on Nexus Prime during the opening battles, monitoring alien communications and providing intelligence to human forces. Now she stepped forward to address the panicked council. "You still do not understand what you are facing," she said calmly. "This is not revenge for your ultimatum. This is not even about your attempt to eliminate our species. This is about teaching the galaxy a lesson that it has forgotten." "What lesson?" demanded Synthesis Node Prime, their collective voice strained. "By the quantum interference affecting their communication networks. That peace can only exist when all species are strong enough to defend themselves. You have created a galaxy where elder species dominate younger ones through threat of force. You maintain order by making weaker civilizations afraid to resist your will." She activated her tablet, displaying casualty reports from the ongoing battles. "Look at these numbers. Human forces have destroyed hundreds of military installations and disabled thousands of warships. But we have killed fewer than 10,000 individuals across your entire combined fleets." The assembled representatives stared at the data in confusion. "We could have targeted your civilian populations," Dr. Park continued. We could have destroyed your cities, killed billions of your people, and turned your worlds into radioactive ruins. We have the weapons and the capability to commit genocide on a galactic scale. Then why have you not done so? Asked the sublime whisper. Because we are not monsters, we are teachers. And the lesson we are teaching is simple. Respect costs nothing. But the lack of respect costs everything. Reports continued to arrive from the battlefields. Human forces had achieved their primary objectives in less than 48 hours. Enemy fleets were disabled or destroyed. Military production facilities lay in ruins. Communication networks were disrupted beyond repair. But perhaps most importantly, the psychological impact was complete. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millions of years now understood that they were no longer the apex predators of interstellar space. The war can end today, Dr. Park announced to the Council. All you have to do is acknowledge that humanity deserves the same respect you give to each other. Treat us as equals, and we will be generous in victory. Continue to treat us as inferiors, and learn what total war really means. As she spoke, new reports arrived showing human reinforcements arriving at every major battle site. The opening strike had been devastating, but it was only the beginning of what humanity could do if pushed to their limits. The galaxy's elder species faced a choice they had never imagined having to make: accept the new reality, or face complete destruction at the hands of the species they had tried to eliminate. The age of unquestioned alien dominance was ending, and the survivors would need to learn how to live in a universe where humans set the rules. A human battlecruiser approached their orbital defense platform, ignoring the energy weapons that fired uselessly against its shields. When it reached close range, it deployed a new type of weapon that the Sublime Whisper had never seen before. The electromagnetic pulse did not simply overload their systems. It specifically targeted the quantum frequencies that ethereal technology used, creating a cascade failure that shut down every piece of equipment on the platform simultaneously. Lights went out, life support failed, and defensive systems died in seconds. Our cities are defenseless, one of the advisors reported. The humans could destroy our entire civilization, but they are not firing on civilian targets. This restraint confused the ethereals. In their experience, war meant total destruction of the enemy. The fact that humans were limiting their attacks to military targets suggested either weakness or a strategic plan that the gas beings could not understand. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council held an emergency session as reports of defeat poured in from across the galaxy. Species that had ruled star systems for thousands of years were discovering that their fleets could not compete with human tactics and technology. We must negotiate, urged a representative from the Kelty Union. Our defense fleet was destroyed in less than 6 hours. The humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. Counselor Vex Thoris' crystal body flickered with desperate light. This cannot continue. They are using weapons that violate the established conventions of warfare. Sound weapons against crystal beings, quantum jammers against hive minds, electromagnetic attacks against energy-based technology. This is not civilized combat. They warned us, said a voice from the back of the chamber. Ambassador Yul Dante from the Orion Federation had remained silent during the original ultimatum, but now he spoke with quiet authority. The human diplomat told us exactly what would happen. They said they do not fight fair, they fight to win. The Sublime Whisper's form swirled with agitation. But this level of preparation suggests they have been planning this war for years. While we believed they were learning to be civilized, they were actually preparing to destroy us. Dr. Park. Sora had remained on Nexus Prime during the opening battles, monitoring alien communications and providing intelligence to human forces. Now she stepped forward to address the panicked council. You still do not understand what you are facing, she said calmly. This is not revenge for your ultimatum. This is not even about your attempt to eliminate our species. This is about teaching the galaxy a lesson that it has forgotten. What lesson? Demanded Synthesis Node Prime, their collective voice strained. By the quantum interference affecting their communication networks. That peace can only exist when all species are strong enough to defend themselves. You have created a galaxy where elder species dominate younger ones through threat of force. You maintain order by making weaker civilizations afraid to resist your will. She activated her tablet, displaying casualty reports from the ongoing battles. Look at these numbers. Human forces have destroyed hundreds of military installations and disabled thousands of warships. But we have killed fewer than 10,000 individuals across your entire combined fleets. The assembled representatives stared at the data in confusion. We could have targeted your civilian populations, Dr. Park continued. We could have destroyed your cities, killed billions of your people, and turned your worlds into radioactive ruins. We have the weapons and the capability to commit genocide on a galactic scale. Then why have you not done so? Asked the sublime whisper. Because we are not monsters, we are teachers. And the lesson we are teaching is simple. Respect costs nothing. But the lack of respect costs everything. Reports continued to arrive from the battlefields. Human forces had achieved their primary objectives in less than 48 hours. Enemy fleets were disabled or destroyed. Military production facilities lay in ruins. Communication networks were disrupted beyond repair. But perhaps most importantly, the psychological impact was complete. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millions of years now understood that they were no longer the apex predators of interstellar space. The war can end today, Dr. Park announced to the Council. All you have to do is acknowledge that humanity deserves the same respect you give to each other. Treat us as equals, and we will be generous in victory. Continue to treat us as inferiors, and learn what total war really means. As she spoke, new reports arrived showing human reinforcements arriving at every major battle site. The opening strike had been devastating, but it was only the beginning of what humanity could do if pushed to their limits. The galaxy's elder species faced a choice they had never imagined having to make: accept the new reality, or face complete destruction at the hands of the species they had tried to eliminate. The age of unquestioned alien dominance was ending, and the survivors would need to learn how to live in a universe where humans set the rules.